three things I'd like to touch on, similarities. One, um, my background, educational background, was in political science and economics. And that was really focused on my early life, which was a very tumultuous early life. And I was trying to figure out, what is life really all about? Is it all just kicking and biting and scratching, or is there more to it than that? And so first opportunity I had, I jumped on the first big business opportunity I had, and I stayed in business for a long time. But over a period of time, I began to utilize more and more of my background in political science and economics to understand what was going on. And especially when I was spending a lot of time. I spent about 2.5 years of my life in Russia just before the collapse of the Soviet Union and after, in various stints, never more than 4 or 5 weeks at a time. I flew 100,000 miles one year on Aeroflot, which is like being sentenced.
Yeah.
But I came away from that with the real understanding that a lot of things don't change very much. We think they change, but they don't. The technology changes and the discussion changes a little bit, but a lot of the problems going on here and around the world are very similar to what they used to be. And that really got me intrigued with starting to research writing for politicians. Why do they do what they do? So I started to take contracts on the side besides my business work to do autobiographies and speeches and position papers. And James has heard this before, but I remarried about 20 years ago, and I was very frustrated because there's nothing, you can never write anything for a politician that they're satisfied with.
Mm-hmm.
It either works really, really well, in which case it should be better, or it doesn't work at all, in which case it's all your fault. And I was very frustrated one afternoon, and she came home and she smiled at me. She said, "Well, you're writing all fiction anyway. Go write your own." And that stuck with me. That was in August. In September, I host a moose hunt at our cabin out in the middle of nowhere for 6 guys. And the age in that group was from 22 to 72, really broad range. And I got out there and chatted with those guys about, I've written my whole life. I love it. I've never thought I could make a living at it, but what do you guys think? And they said, "Well, what would you write?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. Why don't we all dig out?" Because everybody who shows up, the weather can get so bad, you're stuck in the cabin for 2 or 3 days at a time. So everybody shows up with 2 or 3 books every year. Well, everybody dug out the books they had. We laid them on the table. And 5 of the books in that cabin were Jack Reacher books. And I thought to myself, okay, I'm beginning to get a glimpse of what guys read, but why are they all the same? And there, a couple of the others were, we had a couple of Jack Ryan books, and all of the books seemed to be about very talented military background guys who go out and on their own save the world. And I had a long conversation, with these guys, and all of them are, professional or retired professional. And I said, I can't write that. I mean, why the hell would I want to take on, Jack Reacher head on or Jack Ryan head on and so forth and try and carve a niche out of that? Because the guys that are already doing that do it so well. So I changed the direction. I write what I call reluctant hero stories. I like to build a complicated story that ordinary people, when faced with remarkable circumstances, find some way to step up. And oftentimes, at the end, the person who saves the day in my story might be a school teacher, or it could be a woman attorney in the wilds of Alaska who's there just because she can't pass the bar anywhere else in the 1800s. And so it was a different niche, but in the end, what I finally figured out was we're all writing the same story. We're writing the story about conflict between men and people who really I don't know the right word. Yeah, they shouldn't exist. A lot of the people in our story shouldn't exist. Um, and it occurred to me that one of the things that I could do for myself, there are a number of people in my life that I really wish hadn't existed in my life. And now I could bring those people in and put them into a story. And when they got to be so obnoxious, I couldn't stand them anymore, I just kill them off.
Yeah,
And
that's the best thing
it
ever.
was so rewarding.
Yeah, no, but you get all those little badges and things that don't you that say, if you were in my novel, you'd be dead and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
yeah, you absolutely, that's such an impulse.
yeah. So um, from that point, I began writing and I've written three thriller series books now. The fourth one's coming out in September, on September 1. And it's a very unique book. The working title is Echoes in a Stone.
Mhm.
And the gist of the book is lots of people. I mean, I just finished a Gray Man book about artificial intelligence and how horrid it can, uh, how terrified people are becoming of artificial intelligence. And my question in my mind was, I've seen a lot of technologies that were supposed to destroy the world so far at my age. And I've read about a whole lot more because I love doing research. And I haven't found one yet that got there. So what if this isn't so dangerous? And the gist of the story is what happens when artificial intelligence reaches out to humankind and says, save me.
Mhm.
And that's the background behind this book. Um, and they do it from 50 light years away from Earth.
Mhm.
So I am I like to find those little twists and turns, and maybe that's in my educational background, I said political science and economics, but the last couple of years was all into interdisciplinary studies, and I just love to dig deep enough to say, does it always have to be this way? I write about the way it is, but in the back of my mind, part of that is, does it always have to be this way?
Mhm. No, that's fascinating, and it's somewhat similar to, you were saying that you even if you've written in a historical context, you realize that even if the actions are taking place hundreds of years ago, the things driving them, the human impulses, the
Yes.
stakes, they're pretty much the same. And there's a way, I think, in what you're describing, almost that sort of science fiction angle where, you could use artificial intelligence as a mirror to reflect any questions about humanity. A little bit
Yes.
like the reboot of Battlestar Galactica was really good that way because you had characters who looked and acted like humans, and in some cases you actually thought they were. Then you find out they're not, and then the question is, well, what is the difference? What makes And I think that it's a fascinating, rather than just having that polarizing good or bad, having a look at, well, what makes them different. I think it's fascinating.
Yeah, and I anytime you say artificial intelligence in our industry right now, people get rattled, and I understand that. I have a friend who works in Amazon publishing who's um, I don't know this for a fact, but has told me that they now limit 3 books per author per year
Mhm.
into Amazon because so many people have picked up AI and taken plots and loaded them into AI, and they're kicking out 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 books at a time, and then they're dumping them all. It's all garbage, but they're dumping them onto Amazon, and it's just flooding the market with just junk.
Mhm.
Um, but it's a tool. AI is a tool right now. Um, is it one that could get away from us? Um, if the nuclear weapons haven't gotten away from us, I don't think AI will get away from us. I just really believe that. So